got into this because I've always been into cars and racing. This is the way I can do it without breaking the bank. It's an adrenaline rush. You're sitting on the grid, you're feeling the vibration, your heart starts racing. Rally, drifting, Formula One, NASCAR, we're going to be on top of it and take good care of it.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Here at KK Woodscapes, we only work with the finest woods, the finest tools. We sand the wood here at KK Woodscapes. We stir the paint with a wooden stick here at KK Woodscapes. And then we brush the wood with a wooden brush here at KK Woodscapes. And when it's all said and done, we have these perfectly manicured nails. Put the plaques in the trophies, in the envelopes, ship them to your box, and on your way to you to commemorate your special day. Got wood, KK Woodscapes.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to MRL Broadcasting. Tonight we are covering the Moonlight Racing League Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series from Charlotte. We do have about 5 minutes left in practice. Coming into tonight is round 2 of the playoff bracket. And go ahead and bring those points up. After Talladega last week, they ended under caution where Kenneth Redinger picked up the win. We have Justin Parham, Joseph Volpes, Brandon Grand, and Andrew Davis in those top 4 spots. The best average finish of those 4 between last week at Talladega and tonight at Charlotte will move on to fill in 2 spots of the championship 6. Danny Sanchez was able to move on last week to this week, but he's not going to be in the race tonight. So Eric Gambrill is going to be the next one in that spot against Jay Stinson. Zach Clausen and Dalton Connor will be the next pair that's head-to-head. Steve Lewis, Matt Novella, and then Matthew Fritz and Kenneth Redinger, who was the winner last week at Talladega. The battle that I think is most interesting is Matthew Fritz and Kenneth Redinger here as their teammates. And one of those 2 guys are going to be going home tonight as we wrap up Charlotte here and move to Michigan for that championship 6. Switch over to see what some of these guys are doing lap time wise in practice before we head over to the national anthem to kick off qualifying. Looks like we only got a couple guys out on track right now. Kenneth Redinger, last week winner, sitting in second during practice, a 100th off of Justin Parham, who is currently at the top of the leaderboard for practice with a 30 flat. Definitely going to be a interesting race tonight as I look at Steve Lewis currently sitting in 6th as far as raw lap speed goes here during practice. It does look like we are going into maybe a transitional race, maybe a night race. It seems a little bit late in the evening here, so we'll have to see how these guys choose to attack Charlotte. Speaking of Charlotte, bring up some race info here. This is the round 2 of the playoff bracket. One more race this season before it's all over. My name is Buddy the Professor, as everyone seems to call me with all this, background SDK stuff and this and that, what I do with it. Tonight's configuration is an oval, 1.46 mile in length, air temperature 81 degrees from Concord, North Carolina. Steve Lewis, Justin Parham are the only 2 on track right now. As we, once we get to about a minute 30 seconds, we'll switch over to the national anthem. Welcome, Magic. Welcome back. Was you able to join the Discord or anything, or sign up for any of the leagues we're racing? We're definitely super welcoming. Parham gets loose. But with that said, we'll switch over to the national anthem. Welcome back from the national anthem here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. My name is Buddy the Professor, and we are just getting qualifying underway as Joseph Volpus is currently out on track, sitting in that 2nd spot in the playoff bracket, making his way out. I think I hear a car getting loose somewhere. Not sure who that was. We'll have to see how this qualifying runs out. The way iRacing works is if you get loose on that first out lap, or actually this is group qualifying here. So retract whatever I just said about getting loose on that first lap, able to bring it back down into pits and have another shot at it without throwing that lap away. As we look at Zach Clausen here coming off of turn 2 down the back stretch. Charlotte's one of those pretty Pretty fun tracks. They can be a little bit tight, fighting dirty air. Quite a bit of banking to work with. That middle and high line may come into play as the race goes on. We do have 155 laps tonight with a competition yellow at lap 130. Joseph Opus to the top of the leaderboard with 30.261, followed by Steve Lewis in second. Jay Stinson in third. Zach Clausen in fifth. I'd imagine some of these guys, if they can get paired up and use that draft to their advantage, they might be able to put some heaters down here to get some decent qualifying, as long as you're not fighting dirty airs. We're looking at Justin Parham here, currently sitting in third out of Bowling Springs, South Carolina. Justin Parham, Jay Stinson, Kenneth Redinger, last week's winner. A bunch of guys that really, really fast, along with Matthew Fritz. See some smoke from someone getting loose. I do believe we have a 10-minute qualifying session here, so we'll have to see how this everything plays out during qualifying and see what we're looking forward to during the race. This is round 2 of 3, with the season finale being next week from Michigan. Jay Stinson currently sitting in second, just 300ths off of Joseph Volpus in first. Dalton Connor moves up to third. Zach Clausen still sitting in fourth. Yeah, Magic, if you're not used to Discord or whatever, it can be a little bit awkward to work with, but it's one of those love to hate it type of things with, since that's how all these leagues and everything kind of run, voice comms and team chat and all that stuff. Matt Novella moving up the board, sitting in third right now. A lot of these guys' times switch to their best times, and pretty even field for the 10 guys that have put a lap down so far. Looks like we have about 13 guys in the session. Kenneth Redinger moves up to 7th. Oh, something happened to my cameras. Eric Gambrill, one of those replacement drivers for, who was it that wasn't going to be able to make it? And we'll have to bring up the thing again. Danny Sanchez was not able to make it here tonight. So Eric's going to be racing in his place. It'll be Gambrill and Stinson head-to-head to see which one of those two guys makes it to Championship 6. Kenneth Redinger to the top of the leaderboard with a 30 flat. Looks like Volpus and Redinger only about 100th off of each other, maybe a little bit more. Seems like everyone's pretty even here. About under a tenth to a tenth or 2/10 off of each other on qualifying. Do have quite a little bit of people watching here, so welcome to MRL Broadcasting. My name is Buddy the Professor, and we are watching the Moonlight Racing League Thursday Night Thunder O'Reilly Series from Charlotte. If you're interested in joining the league or whatever, MoonlightRacingLeague.com. That'll give you access to getting into our Discord and everything, where you can sign up for whatever series you want. We race Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Friday is getting ready to start up. And Monday just finished their season finale or season championship at Kentucky, where so that series will be going kind of on a little bit of off season for a month or two, and then starting back up for season 7. Tuesday we had the Tuesday Throwdown series with the trucks. Is only about 2 or 3 weeks into their season. Wednesday is getting ready to wrap up with their truck series. And then we have tonight, Thursday Night Thriller. They have this race and then one more to the end of their season. And then we have Friday Night ARCA, and that's getting ready to start up. Next week, I think. Or maybe it's this week. Maybe it's this Friday that it starts up. I'll have to peep the schedule a little bit. Should have about 2 minutes left in qualifying, as Kenneth Redinger still sitting on pole, or preliminary pole, with that 30 flat. No one's been able to better that time yet. Eric Gambrell sitting in 6th, Novella 5th. Those guys that finished 1, 2, 3, and 4 last week at Talladega, which was an unfortunate finish as it finished under caution. We had Redinger, Fritz, Stinson, and Parham all 1, 2, 3, 4, if I remember correctly. Hopefully that same type of shenanigans does not happen tonight. Some of you guys might just be getting in a little bit of extra practice here. I would not be shocked if people were practicing pit entry in case it goes green. John Beverly currently sitting in 10th position, just ahead of Justin Parham. Rick Paradis out here. I didn't see him last night, but I know he's been around a little bit. I've covered a couple of these races where I'd recall that name in the number 34 Chevy. Go and try to reload my trading paints, I think. See if some weird things happening here with these paint schemes. Oh man, now I might have broke the whole thing. Now John Beverly in 17, Justin Parham in 19. Maybe Redinger just runs a base paint here. See Justin Parham jump up to 6th position. Try to find some guys still on track here. Steve Lewis making his way around. Brandon Grand having a fun old time whipping around there off of 4, it looks like. Only got one car out on track currently. Qualifying is probably coming to an end here. We'll get this thing kicked off. I think session finished. Yeah, we are changing sessions. So that's going to wrap up qualifying. Once these guys start gridding and session changes, we'll get your starting order. Not that button. There we go. Starting on pole tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway's Joseph Volpus in the number 98. To his outside, leading the outside row, Kenneth Redinger in the number 42. Starting in third position is Matthew Fritz. To his outside, Jay Stinson, a couple of teammates, even though they're Redinger, Fritz, Stinson, Parham. They all kind of have different team names there, but they do all run together. So row number 3 is Matt Novella in the 56. To his outside, Justin Parham in the 19. Row 4, Dalton Connor in the 93. Eric Gambrill in 77. Rounding out your top 10 is Steve Lewis in 9th in the 88. To his outside, Zach Clausen in number 83. Row 6, John Beverly starting in 11th in the number 17. To his outside in 12th is Rick Paradis in the number 34. Rounding out tonight's field in 13th is Brandon Garand in the 07. Now, what I did, Magic, the laps tonight is 155, and then there will be a stage break at 130 to set up that 25-lap shootout or whatever. So we do have quite a few laps tonight. Be interesting to see how all this plays out. No, bad camera. One thing I am going to do ahead of time is I'm going to do this right here, because last week I forgot to pull this tower up and make it full size until we were probably 5 or 10 laps into the race. They do have an extra set of tires tonight, so I believe they have four sets in the pits. They do not have a fast repair or anything, so that didn't change for tonight. But with the extra laps, they'll get themselves an extra set of tires for this race. I am not too familiar with their fuel mileage or anything for this race, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. Joseph Volpus in the 98. Kenneth Redinger in the 42, your 2 front row guys. Start of the race will be on green. After that, the leader has the choice to go in the restart box. Pace car makes a hard left to go down pit road. Barney the flag man has the flag in the air. Coming to the restart zone, we are green from Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Thursday night Thriller O'Reilly Series. Joseph Opus gets a pretty decent jump there on the inside, coming out of 2, able to carry the momentum. Kenneth Redinger right on his tail. A little bit further back, we have Matthew Fritz. Who is that way up there on the outside? Way up there on the outside. I think that was Jay Stinson. Everyone kind of single filed out as Kenneth Redinger is working on tail end of Joseph Volpus for the lead. Kenneth Redinger looking to the inside. Has the run going to into turn 3. Joseph Volpus is going to have the momentum on the outside possibly, but Jason's going to squeeze it up in front. Matt Novella able to take over third from Matthew Fritz. A lot of these guys are kind of single file here. We got Dalton Connor in the 93 on the outside. Eric Gambrill stuck on the inside here. Loses a couple spots. Just doesn't have that drive off really, running that super low line. Can see some of these guys are opting to run that top lane, just looking for that clean air, I do believe. Boy, my trading paints is all messed up. I'll do a little bit of digging around and see how to resolve that. As we have Jay Simpson looking to the inside of Dalton Connor. Coming to lap 5 of 155 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Matt Novella ran the fastest lap of the race so far with 30.25. That last lap is the whole entire field is being really, really patient here, single file. You don't want to break your car. You don't have any fast repairs to use if anything goes crazy, and it's a fairly decently... Oh, what did happen to Parham? I don't know if he's... Let's see, I don't know what happened to Parham. I didn't show anything that said a wreck or anything. He does have a meatball, though. Let's see if I can dig through my, what happened here and see if I can find it, as we have a little bit of racing going on track. Yeah, I don't have anything at all about anything that happened to Parham, so I'm not sure what happened to him. Could be technical difficulties. That's going to hurt let's see here. Let's pull up this thing, because I cannot remember names to save the life of me. I don't remember seeing Parham. Oh, that is going to be massive implications for Parham, because he was one of those top 4 guys. I remember those top 4 guys, the average finish between last week and this week, the top 2 out of that is going to move on to the Championship 6 next week. Eric Gamble looking to the inside of Jay Stinson. So used to seeing these guys running paint schemes, and I had no idea why my trading paints is acting up like it is. Might have to bring it up and see if I can do something about it here. Ah, that's not good. See if we can reload this and get it to function properly. It was aired out in the background. Hopefully we can get us some paints going on, as everyone should reload here. There's some different paints other than what the default. I think everyone's looking all right. Zach Clausen in the 83. Eric Gamble in the 77. Okay. Got trading paints fixed here, as Kenneth Redinger was able to take over the lead on... No. Matt Novella looking to the inside of Joseph Volpus. Matthew Fritz. Joseph Volpus has an enormous run on the outside off of 2. Going to be able to carry that momentum down to the inside, as this little group of cars here has packed themselves together, as we're looking 3 wide possibly here on the exit of 4, and they think better of it. Still looking 3 wide with Gamble kind of eyeing that center lane a little bit, but yeah, opts to follow Stinson there on the bottom. Dalton Connor is going to have the run on the outside as they get a little bit wiggly and bounces off the wall a little bit. I think this Joseph Volpus Matthew Fritz, Matt Novella has a crazy battle going on right now for second. All this fighting is letting Kenneth Redinger kind of run away as, oh man, Volpus gets the wall a little bit. Going to slow up that momentum, going to slow Eric Gambrell down. Jay Stinson door to door with Gambrell on the outside. Yeah, that is unfortunate, Magic. I wish I could go back and look at what happened, or even have any inkling at all to what happened. There was nothing red that showed up on my screen, and I had no real quick way to go back and see what happened even. John Beverly's up 4 spots, able to move up into 7th position as Dalton Connor, Steve Lewis side by side. Connor on the outside in the 93 gets the momentum off from turn 2. Joseph Volpus still in a heated battle here between Volpus and Gambrell for 4th, as Volpus carries that momentum on the outside, just one lane up, pinching Eric down a little bit. But you can see the side draft kind of trying to come into play. Volpus on that really, really high line. He's going to get a big run on the outside here. Gambrell opts to not come up and chop his nose off. Jay Simpson kind of stuck behind this battle, waiting for them to sort it all out. As tires equalize, I think we are going to see a lot of this where people get stuck side by side. We're on lap 18 of 155 from Charlotte Motor Speedway and Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series. Oh, someone's really loose. Matthew Fritz got loose up there on the outside. Able to save it and not hit anything as Joseph Volpus, Eric Gambrell still kind of stuck side by side, not giving an ounce. It is a battle for 3rd position. Kenneth Redinger's pulled out to almost a 2-second gap over 2nd place to Matt Novella. Volpus is still just able to fight back on the outside. John Beverly, Steve Lewis in a side-by-side battle for 7th. Beverly has the outside, should have the momentum down the front stretch to complete lap 20 of 155. Dalton Connor right behind them in 93. Brandon Grand up 3 positions, currently running in 10th. Looks like Eric Gambrell was finally able to make it around Joseph Volpus on that inside, but now Volpus is stuck to the outside of Stinson. A lot of this outside run and that higher momentum might be hurting the tires a little bit of Volpus. It is not somewhere that I would really want to be stuck at. I prefer that bottom line. I think we only had this battle, and then in no other battle right now, as everyone's kind of single file. Dalton Connor is the other little bit of a battle here with John Beverly, but they are still single file for that battle. So it is Joseph Volpus and Jay Stinson with Matthew Fritz right behind them. Little bit of a tug of war here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's more frustrating in this situation other than being frustrated on the bottom that you can't carry all that momentum because the top is kind of blocked off by that car on the outside, or being on the top and losing that momentum a little bit on entry, but Volpus gets the wall a little bit, allows Stinson to pull up in front of Volpus. Now Matthew Fritz working on Volpus. So we are on lap 24 of 155 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. I think I'm going to try a little button here. Kind of reset ourselves. Looks like everything's single filed out. Let's go on a, now Matthew Fritz looking to the inside of Volpus. Possibly another 2x2 battle here as Matt Novella's made it up. No, Eric Gamble's made it up to Novella. This is going to be a battle for second position. As back there we see Fritz to the inside of Volpus. Volpus still just electing to use that middle lane. So I do not think he was stuck out there. I think he was out there by choice. I was seeing him come back to the inside here, give Fritz a little bit of dirty air. Fritz pushes up a little bit, going to kill the exit momentum a little bit, but Volpus gets the wall. Running that outside, Volpus might be fighting a tight car here. Wear the tires down a little bit more than all these other guys running the really low line. Eric Gamble looking to the inside of Matt Novella for second place. I think everyone's just trying to sort this stuff out. A whole lot of single file racing further in the back. This little bit of battle in between Novella and Gambrel has brought Jay Stinson up to Gambrel. We're going to risk it here. We're going to do a quick crank it up. And hopefully no chaos happens. So I will be right back. I am back from that little short crank it up session. Looks like people have starting to get a little bit racy here at the front. Seems like everyone's still kind of in the same running order. Matthew Fritz able to get around Joseph Volpus. I think that was the only thing that really changed while I was gone. Eric Gamble to the inside of Matt Novella. Matt Novella is all the way up against the wall. Going to have a huge, massive run down the backstretch here as he scrapes the wall a little bit. Still side by side off of 4. Oh, Novella's heavy into the wall. Hopefully that didn't do any damage to that right front. It's going to let Gambrill get it by him along with Jay Stinson. Top 3 currently is Kenneth Redinger is your leader with almost a 3-second gap back to Eric Gambrill that's running in second. All that is checking up. Let Gambrill get a little bit of a gap on Jay Stinson as Matt Novella is trying to come back on Jay Stinson and take over third. I have to keep track of when these guys decide to pit under green, and Stinson goes way, way high up by the wall to try to get that momentum down the backstretch. Side-by-side drag race into 3. Matt Novella inside, Jay Stinson outside. Matt Novella able to get a little bit better run on the entry, but Jay Stinson uses the late apex, comes down, gets the momentum down the banking. Not really close enough to do anything with it. Dalton Connor in the pits, so maybe it's about, this might be a little bit of a short pit, but I think green flag pit stops has started. We'll ride on board here with Kenneth Redinger, see what he's doing. Run the outside into 1. Not really late apex and anything. All the way up against the wall down the back stretch. Really easy on the off of the throttle and back on the throttle. Looking at his lap times. Redinger and Gambrill. Gambrill's a little bit faster. Let's see if Gambrill's doing something different. These two guys have broken away a little bit from Matt Novella. They're both kind of running the same line, both of them easy on the throttle. I think it's just tire conservation really as to what has created that situation where Redinger has that advantage as Matt Novella coming down pits, Brandon Garand down the pits. So it looks like 35, 38 laps maybe on a green flag run. Haven't had any cautions yet. Kenneth Redinger is your leader here as we are on lap 39 of 155. Wonder if I have a better camera angle here. I don't know what this camera angle will do. I actually can't even find it. Well, I thought I had a better camera angle. Eric Gambrill coming down pit road. Jay Stinson down pit road. Let's see what these guys opt to. I would imagine everyone's taking 4 tires here. Yeah, the Redinger's still staying out. As Matthew Fritz and John Beverly. Now, Matthew Fritz in lap car of the 34. Who is the 34? Rick Paradis. Name I haven't said a whole lot. Still staying out. Kenneth Redinger coming down pit road on lap 40. 40 laps completed of 155. John Beverly coming down pit road. Matthew Fritz going to take over the lead here in a swarm of lap cars. See how all this cycles out. Matt Novella might be able to make up some ground here with that little bit of a short pit. Ooh, I heard sliding tires. I see no caution. And I see no wreck. Matthew Fritz coming down pit road. Lap 41. 41 laps completed to 155. So Fritz and Redinger, they might have gave up some time there, opting to stay out. Zach Clausen has taken over your lead by not coming down pit road right now. Going to probably cycle out to where Joseph Volpe is going to take over the lead. I think Volpe's had one of the shortest pits, or the laps that he chose to pit on, which was lap 33. So he's almost 7 to 10 lap different tires than some of these guys that are opting to pit now. As you can see, Volpe is about a 4-second lead over Matt Novella in second, but Novella has 5 lap pressure tires, so I would expect that gap to come back down a little bit the longer Volpe runs. One of the benefits Volpe has right now is the fact that it is in clean air. As we see Boston coming out of pit road, him electing to do that has put him and Paradis both 1 lap down. Looking at the pits here, ignore Justin Parham. I don't know if that was technical difficulties or not, but we can see these pit laps. Volpe on 33, Novella on 37, Redinger on 40, Gambrill on 39. There's a whole mixed bag of what lap these guys came down to pit road, but it does look like everyone is taking 4 tires. Yeah, Magic, that passenger camera is one of my favorites to use, the roll bar cam. Definitely like the Cletus coming to NASCAR and all that stuff. Some exciting stuff. As we see right now, Novella has closed that gap down to 3 seconds. So these last few laps, he's able to close that gap down and closing fairly quickly here. And that's just going to be that difference in which lap they opted to come down and pit, with Novella having a little bit of fresher tires. Kenneth Redinger right on tail Novella. And Redinger has 3 lap fresher tires than Novella does. Depending on how hard these guys want to race, as Novella pitches Redinger down on entry a little bit. Redinger's still going to have that run on the inside with the fresher tires. Novella's going to have a pretty high 1 and 2 here. But Redinger's able to use that entry on the inside to take advantage of the exit on the outside, just able to carry the lower part of that corner better than Novella was. Redinger and Novella both have closed the gap up to Volpe by, there's only a 1.5 second gap there now. On lap 130, which we are coming to lap 50 of 130 for that competition yellow, where we will get a caution. So we'll at least have 1 caution tonight if these guys decide to go 155 laps, green flag, no wrecks. So I'll have to stack them up and re-rack them. But a lot of this green flag running here is making it kind of making the race kind of simple in a way, because we got 155 laps. Most of these guys came down the pits between lap 35 and lap 40, so they'll pit again about lap 80 or 75 lap 80, somewhere in there. I'd expect these guys to come back down pit roads. We see Zach Lawson blinking out a little bit behind Novella. Zach is one lap down. Rick Paradis able to get his lap back, running right there ahead of... No, I think Paradis is still one lap down. So it's a race between Clausen and Paradis here for the lucky dog, as Matt Novella... Zach Clausen moves ahead of Paradis to take over that lucky dog spot. Kenneth Rediger's taking over the lead from Joseph Volpus. Do a little bit of rewind here in time and see that pass for the lead. We'll back it up a little bit further. Looks like Volpus kind of run that middle. Redinger takes it really, really high. Gets the momentum off the exit of 4 and able to just... going to have the high side in 1 and 2. Probably going to complete this pass off in the middle of 1 and 2. Go back live. Redinger has basically taken off. Now I'm seeing all kinds of weird stuff from Justin Parham. See if we can go back here, and I think Parham might be having technical difficulties. I had numerous jump to pits. Absolutely magic. Redinger is really, really flying, over a half second faster than everyone on track, because Matt Novella and Joseph Volpus kind of fighting over P2 here. I was wanting to see, let's turn this on. Leader lap. We'll compare here. So Redinger over a half second faster than Volpus the last lap. Matt Novella almost a half of a second slower than the leader, but Novella and Volpus been fighting back and forth. Redinger does only have a 3-second lead over Novella. Looks like Novella able to get by Volpus and be able to use some of that clean air to his advantage, hopefully. That's going to be Redinger. Kenneth Redinger, he is coming off of a season championship in the Friday Night Thunder ARCA series that wrapped up a few weeks ago before this next season starts up. He is doing very, very well in the Wednesday night DDI Moonlight Truck Series. Pretty much any series that this guy's in, he's a strong competitor. Almost had some bad stuff happen on the Monday Night League that kind of knocked him out of that chase for the Final Four. Caught up in some stuff and had his season taken out. But pretty much any season or any series that Redinger runs full time, and you can always expect him to be at the top or at the front. Joseph Volp was kind of able to stick to the tail of Matt Novella a little bit. we have a huge gap of everyone really single filed out here on lap 60 at 155. I think I'm going to do a quick commercial here and empty my bladder right fast. I was saving this for a caution, but so far we do not have that going on. Jay Stinson able to catch up to Vulpes as Stinson's blinking out. No, that wasn't Stinson. Who was that? I think that was Parr. Was that Parham back out on track? It is. Parham is back out on track, going below Matt Novella, 48 laps down currently. Definitely an unfortunate situation for Parham with whatever happened to him at the beginning of the race. Well, everything kind of settled down, so we'll go side by side, do a little bit of commercial, and I will be right back.
I got into this because I've always been into cars and racing. This is the way I can do it without breaking the bank. It's an adrenaline rush. You're sitting on the grids, you're feeling the vibration, your heart starts racing. Rally, drifting, Formula One, NASCAR, we're going to be on top of it and take good care of it.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
All right, we are back from Charlotte Motor Speedway, lap 66 of 155. This is MRL Broadcasting. My name is Buddy the Professor. This is round 2 of the playoff bracket for the Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series. This is kind of the inaugural season of this format. The O'Reilly Series or the Xfinity car, however you want to. It still takes a little bit for me to get used to calling the Xfinity car the O'Reilly car. Joseph Volpes coming into pits. Lap 67 of 155. But as I was talking about, still a little bit weird calling this car the O'Reilly Series car, but eventually I'm sure I will get used to it. A little bit of a inaugural season with the format that we have, which is a playoff format, and I'll bring that up right fast just to refresh where we're at. We're on the second round. Next week is a championship 6. The best average finish of those top 4 guys, of the top 2 of those guys, will move on to the championship 6, and then Eric Gambrill replacing Danny Sanchez tonight is head-to-head against Jay Stinson, Zach Clausen against Alan Connor, Steve Lewis against Matt Novella, Matthew Fritz and Kenneth Redinger head-to-head. It is the best finish of this race for those 4 groups. We'll move on to fill in the last 4 spots of that Championship 6 next week at Michigan. Volpa's pit really early. He was about 7 to 8 tenths, or he was about 7 to 8 laps before a majority of the field here, as we see him being the first car down pit road again as he goes a lap down here, just due to pit times and the amount of time you spend on pit road and your pit stop and the lap times that these guys are running, which Kenneth Redinger's last lap was a 32 flat. Magic, I run, I have an 80-20 rig. I have triple 32s. I am on the Moza R16 wheelbase with the Moza V2 rim, not the one with the display or whatever that they came back with. And my pedals are the hydraulic SimMagic P2000 pedals. Luckily, I have an understanding wife because it's kind of scary about how much money I've spent on this stuff, but it is still cheaper than racing in real life because when stuff goes bad in iRacing, you just hit the reset button and you don't have to spend the next week or 2 paying for or fixing whatever you broke. Kenneth Redinger still holding that 4.5 second lead over Matt Novella. Jay Stinson running in 3rd. Matthew Fritz or Steve Lewis up to 5th. Dalton Connor coming down to pits on lap 73. I do not know why I was looking at my wrong timing stuff to... I should have just looked at the tower. So Volpus again, he's substantially early on the pit cycle here. He's going to be able to make up a lot of time on that short run as Steve Lewis coming down pit road. That's a lot, Magic. I absolutely love my SimMagic pedals. I came from Fanatec. I had the V3s and then one of the direct drive bases and the WRC rim that I used for a really long time, and then just decided to upgrade everything. I absolutely love Moza and everything that they're doing, not only for sim racing, but I'm also a fan of flight sim, so it's kind of cool to see what they're doing with their equipment whenever it comes to supporting simulation stuff kind of as a whole. John Beverly coming down pit road. Rick Paradis making his pit stop. Once all these pit stop cycle through, we'll check the pit stats and see what people opted to do here as we are on lap 77 of 130 to that competition yellow. As we see John Beverly making his way out of pits, as Steve Lewis coming right up in front of Redinger. Redinger, Novella, Stinson, Fritz, and Gambrel are your cars that have not pit yet. Or Brandon Grand also hasn't pit yet. Matt Novella coming down pit road. Going to give up second place to Matthew Fritz. Kenneth Reddinger's just kind of in a race on his own here. I think that outside of this competition yellow that happens on lap 130, I don't think these guys are wanting caution at all. Yeah, imagine one of my teammates uses those SRP2 pedals. I went from the V3 pedals to the SimMagic pedals because I was afraid I wanted something a little bit more expensive and a different price point, but I also didn't want to spend all the money on Houston fields or whatever, because those back in the day used to be the go-to. But I'm definitely happy with my SimMagic pedals. Kind of curious on how those Moza active pedals and all that stuff plays out. I don't know anyone that has one, so I haven't been able to ask anyone, but definitely interesting as to how technology changes and the advancements that everyone makes. As Redinger coming into pit road on lap 80 of 130 to the stage break. Matthew Fritz stays out, gets him a lap lead here. Jay Stinson also coming down pit road. Seems like Fritz, Redinger, Stinson kind of on the same game plan. And remember, Matthew Fritz, Kenneth Redinger, they're head-to-head to who moves on to the next round. And right now, I don't know if anyone has anything with Redinger. Should be able to update the pit cycles here once Matthew Fritz decides to pit. As we see Matt Novella going around the inside. Kenneth Redinger coming back out. Wish I had a way to see Rick Paradis coming down pit road again. That was really, oh, he's flying in there. Locked him up too close to the wall, missed the box. Matthew Fritz coming down pit road here. Joseph Volpe is going to take back over the lead. Zach Clausen's going to take second here, but he has not hit yet. He lost pit on lap 43. Zach Clausen to the inside of Matt Novella. This is not for position, or it is for position. Joseph Volpe takes over your lead with about a 10-second gap from that earlier pit to Matt Novella, but Matt Novella is closing that gap up really quick. Yeah, Parham in the pits now. Parham is back out on track, and I don't see anything wrong with the car, really. So it must have just been technical difficulties. They don't have a fast repair to use. And I can't find a good... That's not going to show me anything. That's not going to show me anything either. There's no damage on the car. So it had to have been technical difficulties or something with the whatever happened to Parham earlier in the race. Nice to see him back out on track, even though he is definitely in a hole. And now I'm showing Gambrel out, Paradis out. Not sure what happened to Gambrel. I don't have an accident or anything. Looks like Paradis went off track. Let's go back and see if we can see what happened there. Oh. Oh, just gets loose on the... Oh. Oh, man. Wild Ride don't even look like he hit anything, really. Probably got a penalty there for... oh, that's where he locked up down pit road. Unsafe pit entry and just decides to call it a night. So, that's what happened to Paradis. Now, see if I can find what happened to Eric Gambrill. I just have a whole lot of Eric Gambrill entered pit lane. Eric Gambrill entered pits. Maybe it was a penalty? See what happened to Eric here. That's where he entered the pits. I need where he entered pit lane. See if he gets popped with something here. Oh, that was really, really fast. Not sure what happened there. Got a penalty and more than likely called it a night himself. Really, really tough to come back from a situation like that where you get a penalty, it's under green, you know you got to stop for an extended amount of time. Everyone's spread out. The field's kind of limited in size. It's rough. As Redinger back on the heels of Joseph Volpus, knocked that 9-second lead down to about 3 seconds now, and quickly gaining on Volpus. As we're on lap 90 of 130 until our competition yellow. I think right now Parham's just kind of turning laps and hoping for the best. It's definitely a hole to be in, 40 something laps down on a race that has went green so far from start to where we're at now. Kenneth Redinger has again cut Volpus's gap down in half in just that last 2 laps. Looking at the last lap times here, almost a full second faster than Volpus. So within a lap to a lap and a half, I think Redinger's going to be right there. About a lap and a half probably, and Volpus is going to have a rear view mirror full of Redinger, and there's not anything that Volpus is going to be able to do about it. With just the massive tire difference, Volpus pit on lap 66, Redinger pit on lap 80, 14 lap different tires there. Novella coming right up behind Redinger as well. I think Volpus is kind of on an alternate strategy here. They've been going about 40 laps or so on a tank, and we got 36 laps to go now until that stage caution. I can't do math really fast in my head, or I'd tell you what the situation was. Is Kenneth Redinger looks to the inside of Volpus. Volpus has the momentum on the outside. Redinger is going to be able to complete this pass on the inside, gets the drive off through the center of the corner, and Volpus takes over the race lead on lap 95 of 130 to the stage caution. Parham in the playoff bracket is in a situation where Joseph Volpus, Brandon Garand, Andrew Davis. Andrew Davis is not here tonight, and I do not believe Andrew Davis was here last week. So Parham, Volpus, and Garand. Parham had a really, really strong finish last week at Talladega within the top 5. So the the best average finish between Talladega and this week, whoever the top two is with that best average finish will be the two that moves on to the championship 6. So this might not be race over or season over for Justin Parham yet, especially with Andrew Davis not here last week or this week. So it's really against Brandon Grand, Joseph Volpus, and Justin Parham. It's kind of the situation Parham's in going into next week in Michigan. And right now, we have Grand 1 lap down sitting in 9th, and Justin Parham is sitting in 13th. But if I look back at the finish from last week, we'll pull that up right fast. I won't be able to show you on the broadcast, but I'll get their race results from last week right fast and see if we can do some quick math and see what the situation is. Give me a few minutes here. So we will look at last race results. So from Talladega, Justin Parham finished 3rd, and Brandon Grand finished 12th. So that's a 3rd place finish for Parham and a 12th place finish for Grand. Andrew Davis is not in the field tonight, but he had an 18th place finish last week at Talladega. So I guess he was in that race. I just am very forgetful. So with where it sits right now, the best average finish here is Parham down on the apron coming out of pits. Even if Parham finishes 13th tonight with his 3rd place finish that last week, I think that's still going to be better than... It might be close between Grand and Parham as Redinger coming down pit road on lap 100 of 130. So I don't think Parham's necessarily out of it yet. We'll have to see how everything shakes up during this competition yellow here in 30 laps as Matt Novella takes over the lead. Coming down pit road, that's going to give Jay Stinson over the lead unless Stinson decides to pit as well. I think I forgot to look at what people did on the last pit cycle because we're under another green flag stop here. Fritz stays out behind Stinson. I don't think they did that many laps I think some of these guys are short pitting for this stage. But we only have 28 laps to go before that stage caution. John Beverly, super quiet night. Up 8 spots, currently sitting in 3rd place. Looks like Joseph Volpus pit on lap 98. I think I missed some pit cycles whenever I was looking for those results from last week at Talladega. Mando Mello to the inside of Jay Stinson to get his lap back. See how all this stuff cycles out. So, John Beverly has opted to stay out here holding on to 3rd. He is out of these top 5 cars, is one of the cars that has not pit yet on this cycle with everyone else. Last pitted on lap 74, Brendan Grand. is another one of those cars kind of still on that same cycle, has not pit yet, last pit on lap 79. 25 laps to go until the stage caution. Yeah, if Parham stays out and runs all these, the rest of this race, I think he's going to be able to overcome the number 77 and number 34 that is out of the race. So he's going to be able to make up 2 positions by just turning laps on the race, and that might be enough to cement that, making it into that championship 6. John Beverly coming down pit road. Lap 107 or 130. Jay Simpson, Matthew Fritz still opting to stay out. They have about a 20-second gap over Joseph Volpus, currently running in 3rd. Yeah. 22 laps to go until our competition yellow. Then we'll have that 22, 23 lap shootout or whatever to round out the race. With it being this playoff bracket, the points or the stage points or whatever don't really matter anymore, since it's kind of heads up, head to head. Do I have a guest in the booth? Oh. It might be my son in the background. He might be the guest in the booth. Or it's one of my cats. One of the two. I'm betting it's probably the son, though. There's 20 laps to go until our stage caution from Charlotte Motor Speedway and Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series. Has been caution-free so far. Looking up the... See if I can bring up the race stats, if I can find there we go, race recap. Lap 110 and 155, current leader is Jay Stinson. We have had 10 lead changes, 0 cautions. Everyone is extremely spread out with a few people on some different strategies, different pit laps. We do have a battle between Joseph Volpus and Kenneth Redinger. They're kind of on equal tires right now. Their last pit stops was about a lap and a half to 2 laps different, as Redinger gets by Volpus on the inside. Volpus with a little bit later entry into 3 down the front stretch. Lost track of what I was talking about, talking to my son in the background here. Let's see, Matthew Fritz, Jay Stinson. They still haven't pit. They might be trying to make this all the way to get to that stage break. Now, if they have one less stop on this last, let's actually look at that. On pit stops here. Stinson and Fritz are the only 2 cars that have not. Well, Brendan Grand has also not pit. But those 3 cars right there have yet to make a pit stop in the same cycle as Redinger, Volpus, Novella, Steve Lewis, John Beverly. So if Stinson and Fritz are able to pull this out as we're coming to 15 to go before that competition yellow, if they have enough fuel, they're going to have an extra set of tires than what all these other guys have. As you can see, everyone's just across the board taking 4 tires. Be interesting to see if they're able to make it another 15 laps. I don't hide this right fast. Hide that. Let's look at the last time. So they're about 7 to 8 tenths slower than Redinger is in third. That tells me that they're not really saving or clutching. I think they would be going a little bit slower if they were doing anything like that. And I don't hear anything changing in the car RPMs that would indicate anything of clutching. Kenneth Redinger is about 12 seconds back from Matthew Fritz. Ironically, we have about 13 laps to go until the stage break. And we look at the last times here. Still about a half second, maybe 6 tenths difference. I don't think, if they keep running the pace that they're running as far as Stinson and Fritz goes, I don't think Redinger's going to have enough time to get back up to them. Not with 12 laps to go and only run about a half second faster. That is considering Stinson and Fritz has enough fuel. They last pit on lap 82. So that is about 48 laps. Right? I think, yeah. 48 laps on a tank. And I think the longest that we've seen anyone go on that last cycle was 40 laps even, with some people pitting in 35, 39, somewhere in there. Definitely going to be interesting to see if Stinson and Fritz can pull it off. Kind of the same running order as we finished last week at Talladega with Stinson, Fritz, and Redinger. Only Redinger was in the lead on that race. That unfortunately ended under caution, but Brandon Grand is your first car lap down. Everyone's really spread out. Dalton Connor and Brandon Grand kind of about 2 tenths separating those two guys. This is for position. It's for the 6th position. Dalton Connor looking to the inside of Brandon Grand. Had a little bit better exit or entry. They're able to dip down the side of Grand and carry that momentum through the center of the corner. Dalton Connor takes over 6th position as Jay Stinson coming down pit road. So they're not going to be able to make it to that stage caution, I don't think, as Stinson comes down 8 laps shy. Matthew Fritz staying out maybe 1 or 2 more laps, and I would expect him to also have to come down pits, possibly. Kenneth Redinger, Joseph Wolf is going to take over 2nd and 3rd. Matt Novella 4th. Jay Stinson coming out of pits. Fuel only stop, it looks like, in 5th. Oh no, hopefully he didn't exit the I don't see a black flag or anything for him. Matthew Fritz coming down pit road. Do expect this to possibly be a fuel-only stop with only 7 laps. Coming to 6 laps until the stage break. Kenneth Redger taking over your lead. See how many laps he's led, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a whole lot. Laps led 75 laps of the 124 that we've done so far. Matthew Fritz with a 6-second stop, which will indicate fuel only. Matthew Fritz going to come out ahead of, I think Jay Simpson is going to be close enough to take it over. Jay Simpson right here down the back stretch. Going to have that momentum to take over 4th place for Matthew Fritz. Joseph Opus isn't that far back from Redinger, though, as we are 5 laps to go until, nope, 6 laps to go, coming to 5 to go to our stage break. I did that last week where I counted that wrong. Opus about 1.5 seconds, in between 1.5 seconds and 2 seconds back. Matt Novella right on the heels of Joseph Opus. So Opus has been able to recover from those earlier pit stops where he pitted extremely early compared to the rest of the field. Currently running in 2nd. But Jay Stinson, Matthew Fritz on that fuel cycle, they were the only ones that took fuel only except for Brandon Garand. Everyone else had the timing of a 4-tire stop. So those 3 cars are going to have an extra set than what everyone else has. As Kenneth Redinger looking to the inside, Dalton Connor to put him a lap down. Currently only have 5 cars on the lead lap with 3 to go until our competition yellow at lap 130. Oh, Dalton Connor really tight there behind Redinger. Dalton Connor, Steve Lewis in a battle for the lucky dog here. 2 laps to sort it out. Steve Lewis looking to the inside of Connor. Connor really high on the outside, has a little bit of momentum, but Steve Lewis is going to have the advantage on entry. Dalton Connor able to wrap the outside, rub the wall a little bit, and have that momentum off of 2 as we're 2 to go until our stage caution. This right here is the race for the lucky dog, and they will get their lucky dog back once we get, or they'll get their lap back once we get to that stage caution. So there's a lot to race here for. Connor bounced off the wall. Steve Lewis able to take over that lucky dog spot. 1 to go until our stage break at lap 130. Zach Clausen coming down to short pit the stage. Steve Lewis has a healthy lead over Dalton Connor to be the first lap of car down, or the first car lap down. If I could learn to talk. Kenneth Redger coming to the lap here, 130. Going to be your stage yellow finish in order. Kenneth Redger gets your stage win. Joseph Opus finished 2nd. And Matt Novella 3rd. Jay Stinson 4th. Matthew Fritz rounds out your top 5. Steve Lewis able to hold on to that lucky dog position, so he should be getting his lap back here. He will have to start at the tail end of the field after coming around and doing his pit stop, but it's not relying on a wave around. As we are on our first caution of the night for the stage. Everyone getting checked up here for the pace car. Kind of curious to see if anyone that's a lap down here opts to stay out and attempt to get that wave around and hope for a quick caution on the restart. Once it goes back green, we will only have 20, 22, 23 laps left. Figure out what our championship 6 looks like. Steve Lewis, Lucky Dog. Should get the pass here. Brandon Garand staying out. Zach Lawson staying out for the wave around. Steve Lewis doing his pit stop here. Brandon Graham pit on lap 121. Zach Lawson 128 just before that stage caution on lap 130. Justin Parham sitting in the pits. He's able to gain those 2 spots, sitting in 11th currently, and that might be the night for Parham. Not really any more positions he can make up. Oh, no, he's opting to stay out and finish it out. Oh, Grand, hold on to it. Tires spin like no other. Not sure what happened here. I think if Parham finishes 11th tonight, and he finished 3rd last week, that is going to be an average finish of 12.5. And Grand is currently sitting in 9th. I don't remember what he finished last week, 11th or 12th, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be close as the pace car goes down pit road. Once this race finishes here, we are on 22 to go in stages. We're green flag from Charlotte Motor Speedway and Thursday night Thriller O'Reilly Series. Redinger able to get a decent jump into turn 1 as Joseph Volpus super loose. No, Joseph Volpus is sideways, does not hit anything. Going to bring out our first racing caution of the night. Oh man, got my adrenaline pumping there. But holy moly, go back and look at Volpus here because he just got really loose, trying to give it all he had. Run that middle line. I think he gets into the dirty air of Novella. No, he's still just up top. I think he just loses it on the exit where it kind of middle of that lane there too, and just sends it sideways. Everyone avoids him. He locks it up, doesn't hit anything. Might have hurt the tires a little bit, but at least he didn't hurt the car. We go back live here. I don't expect anyone's going to pit here since they just pit. This is our first racing caution from Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is round 2 of the playoff bracket of the Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series. Next week is the season championship at Michigan. These guys pacing around. Brandon Grand sitting in the pits here. I don't know if he might be calling it a night or if he got some damage somehow. Nothing showing up on my stuff as far as it being damaged or anything. Or him being involved in an incident. That does move Grand back to 10th place right there by Parham. With them pacing under caution, let's look that up again and see what their what this is looking like. So last race results. We know Parham is in 3rd last week, and he's currently sitting in 11th with no way to better his position tonight. So his bet is made currently. Brandon Grand finished 12th last week. So we have a 12 plus 10 equals divided by 2. Brandon Grand's average finish as it sits between those 2 nights is 11th. And if we look at Parham had a 3rd place finish, and tonight he is at 11 equals divided by 2. Make sure I did my math right here so I don't. So his average finish between the 2 nights would be a 7th place finish. So I think Parham and Volpus are going to move on out of that top 4 unless something, I don't know if there's enough time or enough cars to make up that much of a difference as a pace car back down pit road. Redinger on the outside, Novella inside, restart zone, green flag from Charlotte Motor Speedway, 17 laps to go in Thursday night Thriller O'Reilly Series. Redinger gets a pretty decent jump. Volpus on the outside. Matthew Fritz looking to the inside of Novella. Find a different camera because I don't like that fence. All these guys kind of single filed out as Matthew Fritz kind of working on Novella right on his back bumper. Novella able to get a little bit of a gap out of turn 2. Fritz gets a little bit of a run down the backstretch, looking to the inside. Novella blocking his line a little bit. Fritz pushes a little wide. Oh, John Beverly on the wall. Wall snuck up and said hello. Novella holding on to the back bumper of Redinger's. Novella scrapes the wall a little bit down the back stretch. Kenneth Redinger, your most dominant car tonight so far, as Joseph Volpa's looking to the inside of Matthew Fritz. Not quite able to clear him. Fritz is going to have the momentum on the outside down the back stretch. Volpa's going to go about a little bit later entry than what Fritz does. Carries more momentum through the center of the corner, but gets tight on exit and smacks the wall off of 4. $13 to go from Charlotte. Look through here for some, not really any other battles going on. Everyone's around that 0.2 of a second gap. Steve Lewis up 4 spots on the night, currently running in 5th, right there by Jay Stinson. They had quite the exciting finish in the Friday night ARCA Series season finale a few weeks ago, where Steve Lewis grabbed a win. Parham's still out here just doing what putting his head down and running laps. Kenneth Redinger able to pull out to about a 0.5 second gap over Matt Novella. Novella currently 3 spots up on the night. Matthew Fritz able to close that gap back up to Novella. About 0.1 of a second, 0.2 of a second off of each other as Fritz looks to the inside, not quite close enough to do anything. Run a little bit lower entry than what Novella is, a little bit higher exit. Volpa's dropped back to 7th position. Not sure if that slide did quite a bit of stuff to his car. Those few times that we saw him bounce off the outside wall might have damaged that right front. Does look like there's a little bit of damage hanging out there on the splitter on the right side as he gets the wall again. There's a weird looking angle there on that right side. I think Volpus might be fighting a broken steering on that right tire as we're 8 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Top 3 guys here are spread by about 0.3 of a second to each other. Zach Clausen closing up some ground on John Beverly. Going to be a battle for 8th place as Zach Clausen gets the wall a little bit. Kenneth Redinger has been the most dominant car through the night. Right now it looks like Matt Novella is probably the next closest car that might have something for him, but I don't know if Redinger is just holding on to saving some stuff here for 5 to go as we are 6 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Saw someone making some moves back there. Not sure who that was. Dalton Conner up one spot on the night, currently running in 6th. Oh, so close to the wall on exit there as Matt Novello's closed that gap up to about a 1/10 of a second. 5 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Might have a race for the win here. That would be quite the upset for Redinger, considering how dominant he's been for this whole race. But at the end of the day, it don't really matter how many laps you lead. All you got to do is lead the one that matters. Right now, heads up, Kenneth Redinger, Matthew Fritz. Those two guys are head-to-head to where one of them is going to make the championship 6, as Stinson is side-by-side with Fritz for P3. Stinson able to carry that momentum on the outside with Parham until Jay Stinson takes over 3rd position with 4 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Redinger able to pull out a little bit of a gap over Novella, sitting about 2.5 tenths, but Novella has a run down the backstretch off at 2. Gets it down to about 2 tenths for the entry in 3. I don't know if Novella is going to be able to do anything as we're coming to 2 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Novella moves up a lane. Going to try to use that momentum on the outside. He's just going to have to be careful and not hit the wall like that as he's getting into dirty air from Redinger. He's going to slow Novella's momentum down just a little bit. Redinger pulls out to 3/10 of a second gap. Almost working on almost 4 tenths, but Novella's going to have that momentum down the front stretches. We're a white flag, 1 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series. I think Redinger might have turned on the boosters here as he is pulling away from Novella down the backstretch. About 3.5 tenths. Novella giving it all he has on entry. The car is getting tight on exit. Kenneth Redinger is going to be your winner from Charlotte with Matt Novella in 2nd. Jay Stinson finishing 3rd to round out your top 3 podium. Steve Lewis comes home in 4th. Matthew Fritz finishes in 5th. Kenneth Redinger with an extremely dominating night tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway, led 106 laps. As we see Kenneth Redinger doing his burnout here. See if I can find a decent camera. There's all kinds of people in the grass. There we go. We'll do this dynamic cam this time. Maybe it'll zoom in or something. I don't remember what the keyboard shortcuts are to zoom it all in. But congratulations to Kenneth Redinger. That will definitely propel him into one of the Championship 6 drivers. And I think we have enough information now to see how that's going to play out. Going into next week at Michigan. Hide some stuff here, turn some other stuff on, and we'll leave that tower up because that's going to give us the results that we need to compare this right here. I do believe Justin Parham was able to overcome what happened at the first of the race. So Justin Parham, Joseph Volpus should be your first two in that round of 6. Danny Sanchez was not here, but Eric Gambrell was filling that spot for Sanchez. Gambrell ended up out of that race, so Jay Stinson is going to be your third spot in that championship 6. Dalton Connor finishes ahead of Zach Clausen. Dalton Connor moves on, going to be your 4th spot in the championship 6. Matt Novella knocks out Steve Lewis. Novella moves on to be your 5th spot. And the two teammates head-to-head here, Matthew Fritz, Kenneth Redinger. Kenneth Redinger, 2 in a row, will move on to finish out that championship 6. So our championship 6 going into Michigan next week. Parham, Volpus, Stinson, Connor, Novella, and Redinger. Should be an exciting race next week. Michigan is always fun. Michigan is always almost like a super speedway in many, many ways. Very, very fast track. I don't know how the O'Reilly Series cars drive on that track, but I know how the ARCA cars do, and it's a nightmare with the ARCA cars because you cannot get separation or anything like that. I appreciate everyone watching, and thank you, Magic. I will see you guys next week, and you guys have a good one as we head out of here from Charlotte to finish out this inaugural season of the Thursday Night Thriller O'Reilly Series. My name is Buddy the Professor, and this has been MRL Broadcasting. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.